No.
But I understand you want it to be cohesive. My thing is, I don't want it to undersell the building or something. I mean, we're making all these renovations, but I understand the mayor's point. If it's not gonna be that big of a drastic difference, then why not put this in 5 years down the road when you want to replace the whole thing?
And I just also want to point out that I also asked for a deduct to take the wall covering out of Gallery C that we're currently renovating and stuff too, and just go back with the paint that's there now.
Well, why take out the wall coverings then?
Well, because they're concerned of the wall covering in galleries A and B also, of it all matching up. Because that's their wish, they being Kenseth, that's their wish, is they would like to see that all wallpapered and carpeted.
When will we revisit it, Stan, as far as all the carpeting? Will it be another 5 years? Is that about a 10-year life?
You know, that gets some unusual usage down there. I mean, if you got the home show and stuff down there, I mean, I know they try to cover it and protect it and stuff, but.
It could be sooner than that.
I would think so. It's got some pretty good stains and, I mean, it needs to be cleaned. And maybe we start with that first.
That's what I would say, and then just look at, okay, what do we want to do to change everything down the road?
Do we do the cleaning on an annual basis at a minimum?
You know, I'm not really overseeing that. We can certainly check on it and put it on their schedule.
So if this motion passes, we could bring it back in the final.
Yes. Or we can bring it all back to the final and do it then too.
Yeah, maybe I'll run down there.
But we do have a motion on the table that has been seconded.
And that's to remove, Mayor, can you clarify what you?
Yeah, remove the wall covering and remove the carpet.
Okay. Page 166.
It's,
So far. 16.
Stan,
Great word.
do you know when Kenseth will be making decisions on, is there a timeline for their decision, or do they already know what the carpet's going to look like
In Gallery C or?
Yes. Or what their ballroom, Gallery C, I guess?
Gallery C, it's going to match pretty close to what we have down there now. I don't have a sample. I would have brought the sample
okay.
up, but.
So they've already decided?
Well, I think the city staff picked the colors. And
okay.
it up.
My argument is if this was so important, why wasn't it included in the bid documents? That's what bothers me. Now we come and we get nickel-dimed later, and that's the part that's, I get tired of that stuff.
We talked about it and we didn't have the budget, so we didn't put
Right,
it.
but now now we're gonna put it in the budget. Well, and that's not the way I want to do business. No, tell me what the project is, tell me what it's gonna be, and then we know.
But I mean, the people that were involved with, on the staff level, we thought it would be okay to have the Gallery C updated and not work, and then
Thank you.
You'd have a slight difference, like you said, that wasn't going to be a big deal. This is more.
But Kenseth had input into that.
Yep.
If they would have wanted it, they should have been here hammering us back when we bid the project. Because I know it would have been cheaper.
They did want it, but we felt that it wasn't going to be a big enough deal that.
I said they still had a right to come here and argue about it, so.
The other thing I would say, and just glancing back at this, we just bought a $25,000 carpet cleaning machine. I would say let's put that puppy to use. Right? I mean, I'm seeing that in the budget. I'm assuming for $25K,
That
we get
has
some.
not been purchased.
Not yet.
Where's that at?
None of the 19 items have been purchased because we've restricted them because we need to do a pump and dump station for the building, and we want to do the maintenance items prior before we do the extra stuff.
Okay. That will be bought soon or purchased soon.
Depends on how much the pump and dump removal is.
Well, hey, if we get that puppy, there we go.
Okay.
thanks, Stan.
Thanks, Steve.
Your vote.
Yes.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Capron.
Aye.
Greckin.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Next item is On the report, page 9, in the CIP 196 is the page number, and it's annual athletic maintenance. And the discussion is on requests for a dish for each field.
Matt Salvatore, Parks and Recreation Director. At the budget hearing, you guys had bumped everybody up to 13,000. This is just a breakdown of what the overall requests were for each association.
The way it sounds to me, we're gonna want to add $10,000 to each, right?
That is correct.
And does that include hit it?
No.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
And they can bank it, they don't have to spend it.
Right.
right.
And that also
Especially if
includes,
they wanted to do
Especially
bigger,
headed.
bigger projects.
Yeah.
and it also includes Chautauqua Park?
That is correct.
No,
Chautauqua would stay at their same
Yeah,
funding level.
Chautauqua's already
Would
at,
they already get 13,000?
yeah, they're at 13, so they would stay.
Matt?
I have a problem with Hubbard. In that, is that really an association or just one of those? It's not really an association. They don't play up there.
I thought they started a fast pitch softball league up there.
They have some, I mean, a lot of different groups use the field and they contribute something to the park, but
A lot of people
it's a lot
do.
less organized than the rest of them, I will say that.
Yeah, that's, I mean, it's not really an association. It's a travel team basically that controls that park.
They don't control it, but they use it. It's still the original fast pitch organizer.
Organized entity, organized association.
Yes, but there's the amount of fast pitch or slow pitch softball stuff is very limited out there. It's still being utilized by other groups, but it's not necessarily it's the travel teams aren't not the people on the lease.
They're not.
No, but there's a lot of them. There's major issues with their light poles. I think city staff will actually coordinate the improvements at that facility.
Okay, well, in the future, we need to look at that because they have one field and they're getting the same amount of money as the people that have.
And they traditionally haven't used their money in the past, but
Okay.
things have deteriorated and city staff are gonna coordinate the improvements there.
Okay, well, if they don't, okay, well, we'll just look at it next year. I'm just saying,
Okay.
they only have one field and some of these
Yeah.
people have 5 and 6 fields, and so it's not fair to give them the same amount of money going. Height improvements, okay.
Who is it leased to? Who is?
Steve Hubbard, or Steve, can't remember his last name. He's had it for the longest time.
Who the heck that is?
Matt, on the Northwest Little League,
Yes,
the numbers I have here add up to 21.5. Is there something that's missing for the 4,500?
that must be a typo. 21.5 was I believe that's correct. Not 25.
21,500, okay.
Okay. What's next?
Okay, report page 10, CIP page 226, CIP project 459212, annual Lewis and Clark Park improvements.
I had a lot of additional information in the memo that was provided. The significant amount of the work would be completed in FY21 if we were able to keep this in one bid package. There would be some duplication and some additional costs for breaking this into separate bid packages. And there'd be better economies of scale to keep this all in one bid package. So city staff would recommend keeping as one bid package and paying it over the 2 fiscal years.
We said we would keep it as one bid package.
Okay.
With bid package 2 being an alternate, so how does that raise the price dramatically? That's different, I understand, than 2 bid packages, but that's not what we said. We would bid it and then decide whether we're gonna do the second phase or not as part of the bid.
Yeah, Brian Wells, DGR Engineering. Yeah, I'd have to look at that. I haven't looked at that as far as how we'd.
Well, you're basically bidding it that way, so why would that be a huge, you just say bid package 2 is an alternate that can or cannot be accepted.
But the bid items aren't separated right now, so you'd have to create a whole different, you'd have to throw out your bid items and create a whole new bid list
Right, if you had
to separate those.
if you had a separate division,
Yes.
that would be the bid alternate. We'd have to calculate what those alternate bid items and quantities are and show those differently in the bid form, or however you want to split that out. That effort would be less than creating two separate plan sets and specs, but I'd have to kind of estimate that. I'm not sure how much effort that would take.
Yeah, except for that doesn't free any money up for this year.
What would?
Well, but you've got to find money for the next year that you didn't.
Yes, yes.
That,
Project from the last time we met, we did remove 1.5 million from the 20-year.
but just moved it out.
No, we deleted it.
But you need it if you're.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how does that work?
We're gonna need it, so if everybody's in agreement, we will bring back a technical change to put 1.5 in FY '21.
The way it is estimated now, stage 1 and 2 would be 1.9, and stage 3 and 4, which is, it's actually just one stage, so stage 3 would be estimated at 1.3.
And the 1.3 is the larger part, is that right? And the 1.9 is the smaller in front of the,
Well, the thing is, you're doing work in stage 3 as a part of stage 1 and 2. So stage 1 and 2 also includes all the removals of that parking lot and installing all the storm sewer. So a majority of the work is gonna take place in stage 1 and 2, but the actual paving itself wouldn't take place till the spring of 2020.
And what's the depth of the asphalt you're going with?
Let's see. There's light duty and there's heavy duty. Heavy duty is where line drive, stair steps through. Light duty is where the parking lot is. 8.5 inches for the heavy duty where the street is, and 7.5 for the light duty where the parking lot is.
And that's asphalt?
Yes.
It's bid both ways, though,
Yeah, we have
concrete and asphalt.
we have an option for concrete and an option for asphalt. So
What's the life expectancy of the asphalt?
less than the concrete.
Yeah, but is it 10 years, 15 years?
It really depends on the maintenance. How you seal the cracks, just like concrete, similar, but it's less. And so there's an evaluation that the city has done as far as what that maintenance, projected life cycle analysis, basically. And so there's a bid adjustment factor put on the asphalt to make it comparable.
Is it easier to repair asphalt?
Well, you can mill it off and put a whole new surface on it, and it looks new. But
You just have to seal it, right?
well, yeah, seal it, or you have patch repairs. If you have panels that'll crack, and there'll certainly be panels that'll crack that you'll have to replace.
Now, what's the difference in price? Is it a lot?
Don't know until you bid it.
Yeah, I'm actually
Concrete may be
estimating.
It seemed like there for a while that concrete and asphalt were kind of.
Concrete may be cheaper now, depends on, but oil's awful low now.
Yeah, timing's, it's a fairly tight schedule to get all this work done in a year and a half. So that might play a part, but actually I'm projecting to see the concrete cheaper. But
What are you bidding, 6-inch concrete?
yeah, for the light duty, and I believe 7-inch for the heavy.
Well, then your life cycle should be awfully close to the same if that's the case.
Yeah,
You concrete guys never want to believe that, but the whole world is asphalt but Sioux City, Iowa.
Yeah.
Sioux Falls, all their side streets are asphalt.
they are. They have the benefit of the rock subbase with the quarry there. But we're going to cement treat the base underneath all the paving areas. It's a mixture of a lot of different soil types. They're wet, they're soft, and so there's a need to invest in that subgrade to make this parking lot last.
Didn't we take some money out of stage 3 to put into Little Leagues? Did we do that?
No, we took money out of the library to put in the Little League, which we're taking the million and a half because we were gonna try to do more asphalt overlays in town.
Donna, on the second page of our agenda, it says we moved the $1.5 million to project 7.
That's annual resurfacing.
But it's, so what year would that have been moved to, though, in that?
That would be still in FY '20. So what I said before was we'll do a technical change, adding 1.5 million into FY '21 in the project for the parking lot. So that will keep the funding the same.
Well, and is what I'm hearing too, that we need to change it instead of just the clean 1.5 and 1.5, change it to more reflect what the phases are or stages are at all, or?
When we would put the CIP book together, we would change the work plan to designate the changes that we've done with the dollars. It would be basically what their memo says.
All right. What's next?
Number 8.
I have a question for you, Mayor. While Matt's up here, it's not on the agenda today, but I'd like. Do I do that at the end of the? Are you prepared to talk about Carl?
Sure.
Go to page 225.
That's it?
Okay, page 225, under the work plan, you'll see Carlin Park Shelter and Playground, 85,000 out in FY 2024. I'd like to move that up sooner rather than later, but are you prepared to describe what we're going to be doing in the park?
Yeah, we're actually moving the shelter from Cook Park to Carlin Park, which we already have a pad there. There would be no additional cost for that. And then Sunnybrook Church donated the playground, or the basketball court, which was installed last fall. So the only thing left is really the playground. And that's budgeted in FY '24 right now.
That up to FY 2021, please.
Like to make a motion?
I'll move that we move.
What's the reasoning behind, or what?
I just want to get it done.
That was part of the whole lead swimming pool, changing that space into more of a neighborhood park. And that would be the last step in accomplishing that.
So it's just moving stuff around, it's not really a cost, is it?
We're just moving it from I think Dan's suggesting to move it from FY '24 to FY '21.
85,000 is what Matt has in the budget for it. And I just overlooked that, because I've been talking to Matt from time to time about when can we get that done and how soon can we get it done. And then when I saw that it was out before, I thought, that's too far out, at least for my taste.
Do we have a second?
I have not used, I need.
I'll second it.
Do you don't need the shelter at Cook Park?
No, it's the one right by the splash pad, and nothing positive really happens there, so we're gonna move it.
Ready to vote?
Scott?
Come back to that.
Waters?
Aye.
Capron?
Aye.
Gretkin?
No.
Moore?
Aye.
Well, that doesn't have anything to do, now you can talk about that, but it has no bearing on moving the shelter, what he just made a motion for.
What has no bearing?
What we just voted on is to buy park equipment, not the shelter.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought it was,
This is for the.
you have a problem with the shelter being moved?
yeah, I do.
I've talked to Sioux City Police about that, and they agree. If there was positive activity going on in that shelter,
Well,
I would agree with you, but
I
it's not.
certainly understand there are events that happen there that we wish they didn't. But I also think there's an awful lot of people who use that. There's no shelter by the
There's other shelters.
splash pad at all that covers them, is it? I mean,
No, but
so parents, if they want to, and they want to get out of the sun.
There's no way that parents would feel safe being over there.
I don't feel safe being over there. It's a
We're
scary.
looking at adding some sunshades within the splash pad fenced area itself, not the shelter is a little ways
And
away.
nobody else uses that shelter in the park?
It's out,
Not for its
Yeah, I
intended use, I
still
will
don't
say
like,
that.
I don't like it moving it, I don't.
well, it's outside the splash.
It's outside the splash pad.
Area.
away.
And we have that.
Yeah, but it's not that far away.
But we have that whole side of the fence is, blocked off, so you're not supposed, so you can't see through it.
They have that annual, National Night Out there, and they use that.
They use a pop-up tent.
Well, they used that shelter last year, I was there.
Okay.
I guess I'm,
They served them in there.
We've talked to West Side Coalition about this as well.
I guess I'm relying, Pete, on what the police department's also advising us. You said they're on board with
Yeah.
moving. They could, if
bad.
anybody,
I'm-
well, if anybody can figure out a way to make it safe, it'd be our, that's what I'm.
Well, it doesn't-
Shelter up on the hill.
Yeah, there's other shelters there.
The shelter's not gonna make it any more safe. If I'm imagining the issues Matt's talking about, that's not gonna make it any more safe.
But you
Taking
can't
it.
do anything about it as long as the park's open during the day.
That's it.
Cannot have.
can't relocate them.
I've already expressed, the police department had the violation of human rights.
Well, they're not gonna go in there and do anything they can't do.
My argument is, well, you let them sleep there at night, and that certainly is a violation of park rules. Why don't you run them out at night at least?
And that was all a part of those discussions is,
And
The
that's
shelter.
not a violation of anyone's human rights, that we should not allow people to sleep in a park. I can't go in there technically after 11 o'clock, so why should we allow people to sleep there? And,
I have not heard this argument, but I'm with
well,
you.
I got more than a little bit of an argument with what, because I don't understand that. We're so afraid of people's human rights. Well, I understand that part, but you can't tell me that you're violating it if you ask everybody to leave the park.
Well,
And it's a free-for-all there at 11 o'clock at night. Well, it's a free-for-all at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I've been there, but.
I still think, police have the ability to
Not-
deal with the issue. And they have this, again, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, this marvelous capacity to influence the behavior of people. They can go in there, they can talk to people, they can, if there are issues, what they don't want to do is they don't want to arrest them because then the jail won't take them if they're intoxicated. And it becomes, we're giving them taxi rides to try to get them back home or wherever they're staying. And it ties up officers, I understand that. But at some point, don't you have to take enforcement action? To keep
You're
things-
asking the wrong guy, Pete. I think Matt was part of some of the emails.
yeah, we've had meetings about it.
I know Mr.
guess I just-
Padmore was part of the emails.
I just don't understand the logic in taking the,
Well, talk to your chief then,
Well, and
because
PD was addressing the overnight issue.
finally,
Yeah.
but for a long time they didn't.
Well, why does anybody think by taking the shelter away, it's gonna
That's
solve
not,
the
it's a separate
problem?
issue. It's just the negative activity that's taking place there.
All
Right
because
next
of
to
the
the splash.
shelter?
All you're gonna do is move them up the hill. They're still gonna be there. They're just gonna be away from that splash pad, is all you're
Right.
doing.
Okay.
Because there's other shelters in that park.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got accosted when we did that food deal with the Convoy of Hope by a guy said, you know, where that sound deal, that's where I sleep. I said, well, you're not sleeping there tonight, pal. And I'm telling you, that they're not nice about it either. They're pretty,
Clarification on the parking lot project. So is that moving forward as we
Yeah,
had
I
presented
guess
in the
so.
memo?
Yes.
Okay, so we can get that bid out?
you could have bid it anyway, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay, wrap up item number 8. Report page 12, CIP pages 108 through 116, facade programs.
Jeff Hansen, Community Development Operations Manager. As the memo shows, we've included the equal amounts for all 4 facade programs, West 7th, Riverside, Leeds, and Peters Park. These changes do not impact the first 2 years of the CIP.
Well, technically, you've given Leeds now 50,000 more than the others, aren't you? Because you're giving them 50 now and
No, we've just bumped it to 200, so. And then Pierce Street will go away after fiscal year '21.
But at West Seventh has had money before,
They have, and we've,
so that you're not limiting it them to 200,000. They're getting a lot more money on West Seventh than these other corridors are.
the 200,000 in West Seventh, we actually bumped back. I believe we have a 2-year gap now in West Seventh. We've taken out money for the next 2 years.
Also, I want to know is how much is going to West Seventh? How much went to Pierce?
For
What's the
total?
Yeah,
Okay, we'll have to calculate that.
We'll bring that back.
okay.
Thanks, Jeff.
To wrap up,
Can I make
1 second.
Sorry, can I make a quick piece to this? I was hoping to see, Marty did a sheet this year for a facade program for downtown, and I just wanted to make a point that we understand that that will probably be moved to next year, and we understand that. With the facade programs, the Pearl Street program did very well, and I see you're trying to kind of see what goes on in other areas. If there was one facade program for Sioux City and the areas were then split into everybody who was kind of shovel-ready
No.
for that year?
Oh,
does
and
that
I will
work?
never vote for that because it'll all go to downtown. That's how it works around here.
Okay, I didn't know if that was something that then if each year we've got a certain amount of money and whoever's ready, because I know there might be one project or two downtown ready this year that will come up next year, but I didn't know how the other areas were, and we'd like the partnership with that next year, so I just wanted to make you aware. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think when we get done funding your signage and those kind of things, I really think, Reagan, that the city does a lot of things for downtown and we neglect some of those other areas. I know that I'm in a minority on that too, but.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people, well, yeah, that'd be a whole argument for another day.
wrap-up item number 9, report page 13, CIP page 368, CIP number 519127, emergency water main replacement.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Mark Sims with Utilities. We actually have the next 5 items here, so I'll stay up here. The first one, emergency water main replacement. I believe you had a question about using cash balance for 2020, and we've got enough issues that we're going to consume the entire cash balance, and we had another water main break last night that we'll probably have some significant costs with. So
Where's that at?
on South St. Aubin.
What address?
1300 block. Yeah, affected 3 homes. Pretty bad time to have a water main break.
I
Cold
think
as
it's probably just starting too.
Well, I was
I
going to
hope
say,
not.
just as an aside, I don't know how you guys do it. I just don't know how you work in this kind of climate.
I don't either. They don't
No.
get to take off like the mailmen do, so.
I had one just in my street, and great job, you guys, but it was just terrible weather and just a terrible, just a terrible job to do. But you got it fixed. You kept my wife happy, so thank you.
So our recommendation on that first CIP is that we don't do anything with those cash balances. We leave those, we're going to use those up.
Take them out coffee and donuts, that's.
Yeah,
Thank you.
right.
Yeah,
Hand warmers.
actually, it's too cold
They
to take
appreciate
coffee.
it when you go to McDonald's.
Wrap-up item number 10, report page 14, CIP page 401, CIP number 519254, annual hydrant
Yeah, do
rehabilitation.
that.
What page again?
Report page 14, CIP page 401.
And you had a question about our hydrant painting program, and hopefully this memo covers that. We've also talked to the fire department, so we have additional information if you need that. But we're happy to provide you with a memo with more detail later on, but it really doesn't affect the CIP, so I assume you want to move on at this point.
We're not doing anything. So,
Well, the memo kind of covers that we will look into it, Dan, but
right.
we've got an opinion from the fire department. They're not in favor of changing things, but we can certainly provide you a more detailed memo.
I don't even want to ask why they're not in favor. I don't.
You know, Mayor, we're not in the business of enforcing that color. If we have residents that want to come to us and want to do something special with their hydrant. We've already done that. John's done that personally. We're happy to.
You know, in the old
do that.
days, the fire department, I think, used to go out and check those and make sure they worked right. Now they don't do that anymore, do they?
We actually do the program for all sides. Source point flushing,
Yeah.
which means.
Didn't they used to go out and check to make sure the water?
They do private, we do the city. We actually,
In the old days, I think they checked them all.
we actually, we do the checking with our flushing program now. We'll actually be through the town and.
You know, I really don't want to disparage the fire department, but I don't care what color they think the fire hydrants should be. I like to drive by and see the Dalmatian dog painted on a fire hydrant, Chief. I can't imagine why your people would not want that.
Chief Everett, Sioux City Fire Rescue, we don't care. The color thing, typically, they're color coded for pressures and volume, stuff like that. We have books and map overlays that show us all that. We don't care what color they are. So if you want to paint them, paint them. And the old days were, I think, a year or two ago, we did all the hydrants, and now these guys are taking care of that. So
our ordinances are yellow, that's why we paint them. But if a homeowner changes the color, changes the shape, we don't.
We're certainly not enforcing that, right?
I don't enforce that.
But that changed, because we used to stick with the color. That, your attitude now or philosophy?
In terms, I mean, we don't. We don't encourage.
So I could
people.
camouflage. I can camouflage my hydrant.
Yeah, we don't encourage people to do that.
I could really do colors that would really hide it, so it's not an eyesore. And you guys will still find it.
We will still find it. We know where they're at. We have map books.
I don't know how you do on some of those, but
EIS overlay.
Hydrants are. I don't.
Ordinance says it's pretty much safety yellow, but I don't. If somebody is
We need to
maintaining a
revise. We
hydrant,
need to amend the ordinance, right, John?
if somebody's maintaining a hydrant and maintaining it, I don't have an issue with it, leaving them maintain it.
I honestly think, Dan, we're fine just not enforcing the ordinance if.
I would,
comfortable
if
with that.
illegal would want
They
to
might,
amend.
but
Well, I would want you to amend it, because now we're encouraging citizens to just ignore our ordinances.
No, just leave them yellow and forget it.
No, if you don't care about the color and I can camouflage it, and you'll still find it, guaranteed.
They would love camouflage better than white, because white, they got a problem with the snow. That's
Sure.
why we tried those
You know,
goofy
and-
deals that didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that, we're certainly not gonna encourage the residents to color these things and paint them and whatever. We prefer that they're yellow, but honestly, if somebody paints it, it's not like we're gonna, call the police in and have them arrested or anything like that.
Well, I'd like to direct city legal then to come back with an amendment to the ordinance, Mayor. Because that's what you're doing in practice,
Pretty much
John.
doing right now is if somebody's maintaining a hydrant, I'm not touching it.
As long as they work for us, that's the main thing.
That's what we're doing with
the program. The
flush.
program's certainly in place for us.
You okay with that, Pete and Rhonda and Alex?
Amending the ordinance?
Coming back with an amendment for us to review.
It could be the city of crazy hydrants. I mean, we could be.
Exactly. We're not known for anything. That's what I was thinking we could do.
We could do some artwork on those. Where's that?
Yes.
Rockstar on
So Don, you're on the right path, I guess.
Well, that was direction last year, is if somebody was maintaining, not to touch them, so that's what we've done, so.
So they have to maintain their paint job, is that what you're saying? Yeah.
As long as it doesn't compromise safety, just assure me it doesn't compromise the safety, and I'm all right with it.
I have to be careful because like the mayor said, if somebody painted it white, we have a problem in the winter. If somebody literally camouflaged it, if they're in a ditch, it does make it harder.
The ones that I've seen that I have not painted are painted and maintained in brighter colors.
Typically people paint them like a robot or something crazy, and it's right on the corner where we know where they're at. If we have I'll put it this way, we don't care until we care. Once we care, we'll go to them and say, listen, there's a reason why you can't paint that white or camouflage in the ditch. We'll get it fixed. Honestly, don't think we need to amend much. I would just not enforce it personally. And I don't know if we are.
I understand Dan's point of amending it, though, but
that's up to you.
I see your point, too.
Okay, so here's my other question. How many hydrants out there do you think are painted?
You mean different than Sioux City yellow?
Right.
Probably a handful.
Yeah, literally.
There's not that many of them. I mean, you see them around town, but there's not like every street has one on it.
So I'm gonna assume that there's just gonna be another handful of people that go out and show their artistic ability.
And
Those
some of them
people are gonna
maintain
do
them
it
in yellow.
regardless.
I mean, there's a few hydrants out here that you drive by their house and their hydrant looks like it's been painted every year because they maintain it. They come and get paint from me.
So, okay, so if somebody wanted to paint a hydrant, is there like a certain,
If you wanted to
rules
paint your
about-
hydrant in front of your house, you come down to my office and we'll give you a paintbrush, the paint, everything you need to do it.
And that's why we talked during the original session about partnering with organizations, whether it was a scout project or otherwise.
The only problem with like a scout project, you're not gonna be able to blast a hydrant down to bare metal, which is where it needs to be to actually get it good here for the paint.
Well, and you would never do that if I was painting a Dalmatian either.
They clean up the paint chips a lot better than that clown you did last year, that guy, and it was a joke.
Why we switched.
So on the
You know what I mean, though?
Yeah.
I mean, no one's gonna do that if they're privately painting it, so I'm saying. if
Believe it or
they're-
not, there's one guy that was maintaining his hydrant in Riverside, and he knew we were coming on and wanted us to blast the hydrant so he'd get all the old paint chips off it, and he proceeded to paint it again himself. Came down and
so
got
if someone
paint.
came to you and said that they wanted it,
I don't discourage it. I give them the paint, I give them the materials they need to do.
But it's
for it.
gonna be yellow when he does it.
Yeah.
Not giving them multicolors.
No, I'm giving them the safety yellow, which is.
Yeah, and I don't think we want to stop multicolors,
years
but
ago and everybody laughed at me.
Think of the possibilities with yellow, though. You could do black for the Hawkeyes, you could do blue for Briar Cliff, you could do purple for the Vikings.
You could do red and black for the Bandits. I mean, gee, think about it.
I can hardly wait to get my artist son-in-law home for the summer. You wait and see what mine looks like.
Oh, boy.
Well, let's amend the ordinance, please.
So if we do
if that's
adopt a
your direction,
policy
we'll
and.
work with legal to do that. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, if we do adopt a policy and homeowners are able to design their own fire hydrant, will they have to have their design approved by somebody first?
That'd be something I think the fire department.
Yeah, how about we do this and just, if we can amend this thing and then just put, if the new color causes some safety issue, then we can force them to change it back. Or-
There's a stipulation in the
Like that.
ordinance.
If it raises concern or causes
Yeah, let's
concern,
keep it reasonable.
Yeah, but wouldn't you wanna do that before you paint it? Wouldn't you want somebody to take a look at it and say, well, this looks great, let's do it?
We would sure be happy to do that. You know, if
Instead of doing it and then finding out, oh, that doesn't fit in very well, can you do it again? I mean,
God, see, everything turns into a big old hassle. No, just let them paint their frickin' fire hydrant and if.
Easy now.
If you don't, I'm serious. If you don't like it, well,
I think the way we're
well,
doing it
then
right now,
we'll
where
find
if
out.
it's painted and it's not causing any issues, we just let it go. I think we amend the ordinance just to say that if as long as it's not a safety issue, we move forward.
Here you guys
Easiest
thought
way
our
to do it.
drawings were boring.
except you won't know it's a safety issue until that's done.
Till you see it, but I mean, the ones that aren't done right now are not safety
Fire
issues.
hydrants.
I just can't imagine that's gonna be a,
I mean, the one on Riverside.
I don't think
Not a lot of demand, yeah.
The one on Riverside that has a wig, they even cut it out so you can still get to the turning, not turn it on and off. I mean, they went through a lot of work to make it look interesting.
and we
It
still
does
do,
what?
we have a,
They
what's
made it a
called
rock star. It
an
has a wig
adopt
on it,
hydrant.
sunglasses.
Oh, fun.
I like the chief's idea.
Yeah.
Talk to property owner.
CIP wrap-up item number 11, report page 15, CIP page 417, CIP number 539117, wastewater treatment plant asset renewal modifications.
And there was some discussion or question on scheduling and so forth. We've worked quite hard with our engineer as well as DNR, and hopefully the memo is clear enough that you understand, but we believe primarily that that we're not gonna need some of those funds as early as we think because of the scheduling that we're under at this point. So we think that maybe there can be some adjustment there. Had a little bit of discussion in there about wastewater capacity, if you have concerns about that or questions about that. And then, of course, something that was a big issue here recently or last year or so was requirement for biosolid storage, so that's also addressed in that memo.
Where are we on that, though? That it's addressed, but I don't understand it.
They essentially, Mayor, DNR had pretty much mandated that we have biosolid storage by February 2020. We can't meet that schedule based upon everything that's went on. And we've talked to DNR, and they're fine with us amending that. We just simply have to send them a letter saying, here's what we're proposing to do.
But when are we gonna do that?
As soon as possible.
But when is
but-
that?
Well, there's so many moving parts even with the biosolids and what we're doing at the airport. We need some answers as to how that program's gonna operate before we commit, in my opinion, to 120 days of storage. I think we could do this in phases, do 30 or 60 days to get us.
I understand,
Yep.
but when we bought that house, we did all this stuff.
Yep, it's in asset renewal 2, which is scheduled for construction over the next 2 or 3 years now.
Wrap-up item number 12, report page 18, CIP page 442, CIP number 549101, annual unspecified storm sewer.
And in your memo, I apologize, I was doing this because Debbie's been out sick, and so there's a typo in that memo, but this is related to the storm sewer, not the hydrant rehabilitation, as you see in the first sentence there. And we will work closely with the golf course to make sure that they do their part if there's a part that they need to do in terms of the riprap to complete this project.
Where are we at on that other ditch up there on their side that, on 41st Street, that's supposed to be done, Mr. Carney?
They've come back with another very high estimate for landscape repairs, and I think at this point they wanted to still take a bulk of the grant money we got for that. I think we're probably looking at dropping the project and wait till.
Why would you drop the project? You're not gonna fix my house any better than what it is. Why?
Because they're not being reasonable in getting the easement. And
Well, there's a way to make it reasonable. You condemn.
Yeah. We've talked about it. It was just a bit of the fear that if we go to condemnation and then they get what they want, and we've lost more than half the funding we got.
There is no way in condemnation. The judge only can do the value of the land. He cannot do the value of what the repairs are. We're not doing it because it's the country club.
Yeah.
That bothers the heck out of me. Because you didn't mind digging up Whispering Creek one summer and run your damn pipe right through our golf course. You didn't mind that a bit. But because it's a Sioux City Country Club, we don't want to take them on. That's ridiculous, guys.
Well,
I'm sorry. If that ditch needs to be repaired, which is what we told the state when we went and got this grant, then why are they different than anybody else?
Well, I was also under the impression that there wasn't a lot of support for the project to start with.
There wasn't for me, but then you went up there and convinced me that that has to be done.
Okay, well, we can move forward with it. We just about 2 weeks ago, they sent us that revised when they realized the property was, that they thought a lot more of that property was theirs than it was. It was ours already, and we can go ahead and go to condemnation. That's not an issue.
Well, it's up to the rest of these guys, but because it's a Sioux City Country Club, doesn't make one bit of difference to me.
To me, it was the amount they were asking for, and like I said, I didn't believe that there was a lot of support for the project, so I didn't feel it was one.
But we're not obligated to do any more repair than what we do damage.
That's what our.
Am I missing that?
Exactly.
Yep. Oh, that's what we felt, but-
Landscaping and everything else. No, we talked about it.
But
I don't care if you don't do the project, but you're the guy that said it had to be done.
I believe it should be done, yeah. That's fine, we can move forward with it.
Hey, Mark, just so I'm clear on the golf course, on Floyd and the work, the rest of the project, it says here was completed and has been closed out, but it hasn't been done, right?
That portion hasn't been done. John can probably speak to it a little bit.
We put that off, right, until fall? So the money has to be moved from it's got to be included in 20? Okay.
They'll just use the balance. They'll just
Oh,
use the
okay,
balance.
okay, got you. Okay. Yep, thanks.
Wrap-up item number 13.
Let's take a 5-minute break. See it going again.
Page 68.
So,
CIP wrap-up number 13, report page 19, CIP page number 468, project number 549196, Pulaski Park drainage improvements.
So our good old Pulaski Park. Basically, the memo, in summary, recommends that we continue on as we've been discussing doing. Melissa's done quite a bit of research with Chris and others, and she can kind of speak to that if you have questions.
If the Iowa Department of Transportation plans show that the culvert extends under Highway 75, as we had initially thought. It does also specify that the culvert is to be plugged, and it is. It also shows that the intent for the pipe was that pipe be installed and would extend under the railroad to the old Floyd channel, which it does not. It shows that as future construction of the plans. So we would recommend that we move forward with replacement of those pipes upstream. Because of the location of the culvert, it doesn't impact those failing pipes upstream. Those still need to be addressed.
So this culvert just sitting there doing nothing?
Correct.
And it's never gonna do anything?
Unless we extend the culvert under the railroad and connect it to the old Floyd channel, it's not serving any purpose right now.
So where does it run to then?
It dead ends under the highway.
You've got the plans that show that?
Yes.
Okay, wrap up item 14, report page 20, CIP page 263, CIP number 139006, annual signage pavement marking asset management.
The question was asked about when we do the line marking. It starts in May, proceeds throughout the summer, all weather dependent, and then they finish it up in late July and August with the crosswalks. And that actually will be coming to council here shortly to renew that contract for its last renewal.
Okay, wrap up item 15, report page 21, CIP page number 307, CIP number 719331, annual schools and Sioux City infrastructure improvements.
I want to go back to that one.
Okay.
Is there a state spec that we have to use for because it doesn't, this stuff doesn't last like it used to?
If we went to an epoxy paint, there's different types of paints. I mean, the problem with the epoxy paint is you're not guaranteed that ideally it should last longer than the waterborne paint that we're using. But the epoxy paints with the snow plows and all that, there's no hard and fast rule that's gonna last a significantly longer period of time than what we're using.
Is anyone else doing anything differently?
Yeah, there's lots of things you can do. You can grind them and then grind them down, and so the paint's actually below the pavement surface. But that's a very expensive, because you have to grind each
There has to be different kinds of paint. I know there's epoxy, but
there's epoxies about the only other one I've seen used. There's tape markings you can use, but I know we've used those on new projects before, and they've been unsuccessful because they get ripped up. 3M.
That's those little pieces that stick up, right?
That's what I'm asking.
No,
Is
there's
there a
actual
state
whole
spec?
long tape you can use. That
Is there a state spec for paint? Mm-hmm. Or do we have our own?
We're using the standard waterborne paint that same as the states.
I've never seen how a paint that doesn't last a year.
It's a very bad environment for it. I mean, it just, between the plows and the salt and all that, it's just tough on it.
It's also the same in California too. We had the same problem with the paint. We'd have to do a yearly painting program.
Why was the reason there? You don't have the plows and the
Because
salt.
the paint isn't worth a crap, because it's, unfortunately, you can't use lead anymore.
Well, that is partially it, yes. The other part is UV, a lot of UV rays and the heat.
And even with the paint, it's not so much the paint too, is you got to make sure that the glass beads are adhering, because in that paint, they drop glass beads on it. That's why at night it reflects a little bit. There's actually little beads they drop on the paint while they're painting it to stick in the paint.
Which I think is, I think that makes it last less, because that for sure is coming up when you plow.
Oh, yeah. The glass beads definitely get knocked out.
Number 15, report page 21. The CIP page number printed is incorrect. It should be page 327. Annual schools and Sioux City infrastructure improvements.
The question came up whether it was still needed and not, and the answer is yes. We are still replacing our portion. We requested on 20th to have that all replaced because the water and sewer is in very sad shape. And of course, our 50% cost share for around the school is included in that.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with that street. They're not paying for that.
No, that's true.
That's not what I'm saying. Again,
We
another
added that.
project that we added on after the fact. That was not part of the original discussion with the school district, and we added it, not the schools. And another $1 million that we can't do in another neighborhood because of a school. And I know you guys all love the school district, and I know how much you appreciate them, and I always get accused of not, but we have literally taken $50 million out of infrastructure improvements to do schools. Am I very far off on that?
No, you've got it pretty close.
And that, you wonder why our streets are crumbling, guys, that's why. And we just have to tell them to take a few years off. They're about done now, but they just can't. And the thing that bothers me the most is they come in and we drop all these other projects because we got to get this $1 million worth of streets done. And it's not fair to the rest of the neighborhoods in this community. And now, Mr. Moore, you can report that the mayor went off on the school district again when you go to their meetings. I understand, but that's beside the point, because it bothers me that our streets are falling to pieces, except for around new schools in this community.
I think part of it too, Mayor, is that Gordon sees what needs to be done, and you'd rather do it now than after the school's open. And
You could have done 20th Street. It will have no effect on that school.
No, that's true. We wanted to tag
I
along with their
understand.
bidding and their contractor to help save costs.
But you could have bid it on your Pierce Street just as easy.
That is true.
Because you're not getting any participation from them, and it would have bought another year or two down the road for us to do $1 million plus in overlays, is my point. So, and you wouldn't have got any better bidding it that way than if you would have bid it with Pierce. Anyway, that's enough of that soapbox for the day. Let's move on.
Wrap up item number 16, report page 23, CIP page 336, 728012, annual parking ramp repairs.
There was questions asked about the report from Heritage, so that was included. We were looking at doing these repairs over a 2 to 3 year period. None of them are immediate safety concerns, but they will be for long-term maintenance of the garage.
Dave, did you see anything in their letter of January 9th that surprised you as far as the maintenance?
Just some of the concrete corrosion that's already occurred, and some of the drainage corrosion, pipe corrosion is just a little surprising. But I mean, it's just at how quickly. I mean, it's just a little bit faster than I would have expected, since the garage is only 10 years old.
Expect it to last
a little bit longer. But I mean, it's a bad environment, even though like I said, we try to use salts that are a little less corrosive in the garage, but everyone drags in the salt off the street. And
I saw somewhere in here they do power spray.
yeah, and I do need to make a correction on that. Lori at ABM had thought they do it twice a year. When I got back from vacation, it is just once a year. It is they do it in the spring before.
With a garden hose.
Well, I don't know, they didn't say how they do it.
I thought it was well.
They said power, she told me power wash, but.
I thought they said
And
power
Manette didn't
wash.
correct that, Manette just corrected the fact that they wash it only once a year, and they wash it before we do the windows, so whatever sprays on the windows gets cleaned when they do the windows.
That's something that should be done twice a year?
You just need
I could
to get
talk to him about it, I mean,
spring.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd do it in August. I think if I was gonna do it a second time, I'd probably do it like October or something, when it was getting just about time for winter time, but I can talk to him, we can bring that up, parking and skywalk.
You'd already have it cleaned off, is what you're saying, in the spring.
But you need, I don't know how they do it with
Because the salt is what corroding, so
high
it's
pressure.
not
Who
salt
does
in
it?
summer.
They have somebody come in and do it?
They didn't, I can find that out, they didn't tell me that, I didn't ask, so.
Because you're gonna have, if you're doing it with high pressure, you're gonna have to have somebody with a truck.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not high pressure.
No. It's either you use high pressure or a lot of volume, one of the
That's
two.
what I'm saying, otherwise hook on a 2-inch
Fire hose and
fire hose and
let it rip.
it's flooded.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'll find out more about that and I can get you information.
God, I mean, how much could they get done with the
I don't think it's.
hose? I mean,
yeah,
they gotta
I'm
have,
pre-
you
I'm
have to
pretty.
have pressure to get the.
She said pressure wash, so that's what
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with, but I'll find out more exactly the process that
Fire
they
hose
use.
not
but-
gonna get you anywhere.
Wrap-up item number 17.
Hold up 1 second.
When I started at the parking ramps, when we worked there, we had a mini sweeper. We used to use a sweeper, we go sweep each parking ramps and the sidewalks.
We still do that.
Once a week, then twice a year, we hooked an 1.5-inch hose, high-pressure hose, and we washed the ramps. That's how we used to do it when the city had the garage.
We could still do that then, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you could probably, what'd you do, hook off the standpipe for the fire?
There was some faucets in the old parking ramps we hooked on the black 1.5-inch hose onto, drug it around with this little cart because it was so heavy, and we washed it down, come in at 3 o'clock in the morning and wash them down, and after we swept them.
But we do have a sweeper that sweeps the garage.
Yeah.
Wrap-up item number 17, report page 49, CIP page number 341, project number 759005, annual sidewalk program.
Oh, that was we haven't gotten you that information, that's about the infill lots. And we will be getting you a memo on that, I need to finalize it with Nicole, but we were using the defective sidewalk ordinance to do the infills, and that's not the way it was done in the 90s. Sometime between the late 90s and the early 2000s, somebody was given the idea that they could use the defective sidewalk.
Not in the it was a very late 90s.
Yeah,
Because 98, I guarantee it was the way it's.
Yep, no, because and one of the reasons infill was stopped is in the late 90s, there was, Rick Mock was telling me that they had brought several forward, and the council turned them down, so they just went away from doing the infill. And I think this was probably a workaround that somebody came up with, that they could use the defective sidewalk. Because I know in the early 2000s, when I came in 2003, that's the way they were being done.
It's okay to say, you know what, Bob, you were right.
Oh, you are, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear you say that. When you told me before, you don't know what you're talking about.
No, I don't think I said it that way.
Well, you kind of did.
But no, it's the problem that comes is the special assessment process isn't onerous, and there's a lot of work up front, staff work and hours that go into it before
Yes,
it ever
there
comes to
are.
council. And I think that's why it got dropped, is people were coming and complaining, and the council didn't want to make people put the sidewalk in, so they just went away from doing it. So we're probably going to go back and concentrate on repairing broken sidewalk and not worry about the infill sidewalk.
Well, maybe you can change the ordinance.
I asked that, legal doesn't believe, so legal thinks the state code would dictate, and we'd stop the special assessment process. So, yeah, that's.
He's exactly right. The council, that in the very last years of 98, there was only one guy that would vote for sidewalks. Yes, I do, because if there I was the friend of the school district. If a school district came here and said they need that sidewalk, how do you not vote for it? So.
Yeah, and
But in defense of the council now, when's the last time the school board came with any site? Not ever.
Well, there were some in the 2000s, because we used, we used the process of the defective sidewalk to get them put in. And we had someone who appealed to council, and they ended up saying, no, don't make this person put the sidewalk in. So, yeah, so we're probably gonna just concentrate on correcting defective sidewalk and let the infill sidewalk program kind of go off. But as soon as I finalize that with Nicole, I'll make sure you guys get it all in writing.
CIP wrap-up number 18, report page 50, CIP page 342, CIP number 759114, annual sidewalk ramp program.
We reviewed that presentation from December, and we came up with a list, as we gave in the memo, and it looks like it's going to be around $32,000 to $35,000 to add those, unless we get some requirements from the railroad. We might have to increase a little bit for that one crossing on East 3rd Street and Pierce Street trail crossing.
Oh, yeah.
So, to fix
I know,
those.
I know what you're talking about.
One of them was not included because it's under construction with the Warrior Hotel, Davidson Building, and another one's going to be included in the annual resurfacing phase 2 that you'll see before you in the next couple of weeks.
If you want to do that, Mr. Moore, you need to make a motion because it's not in the budget. Right?
Correct, unless they change the work.
What was the amount?
Plus what?
31,600 to 30.
About 32,000, 35,000.
Oh,
Bottom.
so you can either ask us to modify the current work plan to include these and move the other ones back, or add to the current work plan.
Move to add them to the current.
Well, and what's frustrating, didn't we
I'll second.
talk about or agree that this is stuff they should have been doing when it's new and new construction? They should be implementing this. We shouldn't have to go back and fix this.
There's some of them it's gonna be, it'll be tricky on how we end up having to do them. It just, I don't think there was as good a guidance when this first came out, when a lot of these were installed.
Yeah.
Especially if they're the old maroon ones, because we started with maroon and then we went to yellow. But I can even say, if you look at Pearl Street.
We've talked about that.
Yep, those aren't right because of the color differential. So
But what if the iron ones or whatever they are that I've sent pictures of to you, does that meet the guideline, you think?
if it's in a regular concrete sidewalk, yeah. But if you put it in something that's colored to be maroon and it rusts to maroon, it doesn't have the color differential. And at some point, and I know this because this is when I was here the first time, there was a thought that they were going to mandate yellow. It was never really done, but so we thought we'd be ahead of the curve and we would just mandate yellow. And then it never came to fruition of them mandating yellow as the color. So we just had always stuck with yellow, and I don't know why when they did Pearl Street they didn't put the yellow in, other than I think they wanted it to match the colored concrete, which is the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, they're looking for aesthetics and not accessibility. To the mayor's point, he talked about the screw-in options.
Yeah, we're gonna look into those and see if that's a better option than what we've been putting in.
We'll have to test those because we don't know how it's going to react with the frost.
Yeah. And
that's what we use.
Stuff getting underneath it.
There's a history all over the state of those.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just we're gonna look and see what they are as far as cost difference. But like I said, most of the time it is better if they're not getting ripped up.
And so I guess my point of saying moving forward, how I don't think this should be on our dime, you know what I mean, when we have these projects or when these companies are doing it, we just make sure they're in compliance before we sign off, right?
Yeah, we're doing.
So this should get us up to snuff with downtown and say.
Well, no, this isn't doing all of downtown. This is just the areas that they walked on that walk. That's just those down Pierce and up Nebraska that they walked. That's the $32,000. That's not all of downtown.
I mean,
yeah, we have a plan that we're going through that we have about $100,000. Is it 100? 95,000 every year to go through and start doing replacements. Along with every time we touch a street, whether we do an overlay or we make any improvement to the street, we have to correct it.
Yeah.
And talking to Cedar Rapids has gone to they survey all of their ramps when they're done. Because you have to have documentation showing if they get moved because of frost, you won't be, DOJ won't ding you on that they're wrong now, like if they move a little bit. But if you don't have proof that they were actually perfect when you put them in, and if frost moves it, you're out. You're out of compliance. You need to replace it.
Okay. The only other thing I would say that I really want to watch was brought up in that presentation was where that curb line goes into the crosswalk. And I guess like I, again, didn't notice it until it's brought to your attention, right? But then I was downtown and I forget if it was by Subway or what it was, and I was rolling
Well,
that.
there's ways you can have them the way like you have them downtown where they're all the way around. All you have to do is change the pavement markings to leave 48 inches from the back of that curb that's, quote, crosswalk, and that's acceptable. If you bring you have your two crosswalks coming, and what they were saying is it was leading you out in between the two crosswalks. If you put a diagonal line,
I don't think we're talking about the same thing.
Okay.
I'm talking about you have the crosswalk going across, right? Well, where the crosswalk goes, the curb is still going out into.
Oh yeah, well, you need to move.
You know what I mean? Like I noticed that at one of them downtown. It was like halfway through it. And
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Because then I was thinking visual impairments, and like, yeah, you're gonna trip on that, and it's not right there. So I'm just saying, like, when we start really enforcing this in future construction projects,
And if you look at some of the ones they went through, there's one by Subway. There's a manhole in the middle of it, so I don't know how we're going to change that without relocating the manhole, because it's right where the ramp needs to be.
The only other thing while we're on it, and I'm thinking of it, across the street from Subway, so like towards the museum.
Okay.
There's one of our, what is it? That box that you talked about in that one corner.
Fiber box.
Fiber. That's what I thought. It's really bad.
Okay.
I didn't.
I haven't had a chance
I didn't
to
know
go.
it was bad, and I literally drove and I got a little nervous. So, but
Like it's bad, like the top flexed, or bad that
it's like way uneven.
Okay. Yep. Yeah.
Thank you.
We have a motion?
Ready to vote?
Yes.
Second.
Gretkin?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Scott? Waters?
Aye.
Capron?
Aye.
Passes
Thank
5-0.
you, Dan, and thank you, Dave.
In
That's-
the 700 block by the parking of Benson Building, there's been by the furniture store, there's been a street light knocked out of there since last spring.
Okay, we'll get with Mid-American, because I'm pretty sure that's theirs.
And why would,
700 block of.
right across from that prime apartment, stoplight or street light out, somebody must.
Pearl.
On Pearl, and it's been knocked out of there forever.
Yeah, got the facade money.
And I'm sure with Mid-America, I'm reasonably certain they're still charging you every month for it.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. So let's make them get the pole back up.
Just to reiterate, that was to put it into the work plan, right?
Yep.
Correct.
Add it to the work plan.
Add it to it, yes.
Wrap-up item 19, report page 51, CIP page 344, CIP number 859043, annual fiber optics.
And why did we want this back?
To see if you needed all 200,000.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And why do we even need it?
For?
I don't know. Why do we need fiber optics to, the kind of money you're talking to run it to the cemetery when?
Oh yeah, that was.
That's to fix, most of that money is to fix the fiber's broken on Lakeport. It's to repair that fiber connection that controls all those signals. It was just an add-on that they would run it into the cemetery because it was right there.
And why do you need it on Gordon Drive to?
Gordon Drive will link Gordon to Morningside. The fiber ends coming up Morningside at that signal.
Yeah, for that one signal that.
Yeah, it's not to connect the two networks. That's the point of that.
Not just running to the signal.
Not just running to the signal. It's to connect the two networks.
Here's my problem. We spend all this money, and it's a lot of money for signals. We've never figured out, we have all kinds of capacity to sell. I don't know why we can't develop a partnership with people and sell. I mean, how how many strands do you have left over that you could sell in that? Because you got a ton of capacity, and all you're doing is signals. It's just a waste of money. And we've proven it doesn't do one dang bit of good on Hamilton. It's getting worse, by the way, rather than better.
That's why we have it in 2 years out to have it completely reprogrammed and hopefully take some signals out and make it run a lot smoother.
But anyway, when are we ever going to figure out how to sell this capacity? You want to talk about where you can make money. You're probably using one pair.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's a lot more unused than at least for signals.
There's a lot more unused than there's used.
Yeah, for the signals. I mean, I know Glenn is using it. That's why, I mean, he's the one who gave me the background on why these were being put in.
What's the market for that? I mean, what types of businesses are you're talking about?
Your schools, they run, Fibercom runs to every one of your schools, and that's where they spends big money. You can do data, you can do cable TV. There isn't anything you can't do with that stuff. And I'm not saying we should get in that business. I'm saying we should sell that capacity because it's worth a lot of money. I mean, Morningside College, if you're right there at Morningside College and hook them up, it's a big money deal.
So they'd buy the capacity, but they have to do the installation.
They do you got the backbone.
No, it's already installed.
Yeah, it's already installed.
It's already ran.
The backbone is there, then you trunk off of that is all you do.
Oh, I see, okay.
I can ask Glenn about that. That would be more.
I mean, you're going to run to a cemetery office. Are you kidding me that you're going to?
Well, the most of that money is for the repair of what's existing.
I understand that, but I'm saying that you asked what it's for. That's what it's for. It's to run your computers in that little office that you don't pay a monthly fee for anymore.
Pete, we should probably talk to Glenn too at our next meeting, if not before that.
Sure. If you remember when they put in the Iowa network, whatever it was called. ICN. Now it's pretty much a privatized network now. They sold it. Yeah, they sold the capacity off and maintained what they needed, but there was millions of dollars worth of capacity that was just sitting there unused. That's the problem with cable. There's so much of it out there now. And Fibercom probably ran something, or AT&T ran something right where we're at. If they'd have just bought some of our capacity, they wouldn't have had
to run a line,
and they wouldn't have tear the streets up, and and we would have been getting money out of it. So that's I mean.
Well, and is that something we can just look at?
I'll have to ask Glenn. That's,
you know what I mean?
That's out of my ballpark. I'll have to ask Glenn.
I guarantee it is, because we already have been sharing it. We shared some out in Riverside on that run out there.
Well, and if you can bring it up then in that meeting, Dan and Pete, whenever you have that meeting or talk to them, I ran into that mom again, and she reiterated that her son was like, this is the future of what a lot of cities are doing, is in that the sewer lines of running that, and how it's easier. You don't have to tear everything up. So I would just look into it.
That's more of a Mark question as far as running the sewer lines. I'll defer to Mark.
Well, you got the right guy, the guy with Glenn. He'll know it all.
That's what you brought up previously.
7 years now I've been bringing it up. We're running. You know how many phone lines you can run? How many phone lines can you run? Anybody know on a strand of, like, thousands? Yeah, a lot. Okay. And we're running streetlights. Not even streetlights, signals. For signals like on Morningside Avenue that shouldn't even be there on Ridge, but.
I agree.
Thanks, Dave.
I agree.
Wrap-up item number 20, report page 52, cash balances, discussion regarding project cash balances.
Thanks for preparing this down.
Sarah actually did it.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Sarah.
Don't let all the negative numbers get you down either, because it's just money that hasn't been reimbursed yet. Am I right?
Most of them.
Most of it?
Most of them.
Well, some of the small ones, yes, you're right.
Some of those small ones I clean up once a year through project review. Also, like utilities, there's some big negatives because I have not SRL debt for those items, because one, we have to have the things out to bid, and the other, I need a rate increase in sewer before I.
You want to point out on these? No.
The one,
Be aware.
we've, obviously we've talked about the spec building. I've got the cash sitting there that if we start to develop one, we've got the cash sitting there. It's not programmed, but I've got the cash for that. We've got set aside for land to be purchased outside of the city, which is the money that we had from the sale of the museum building. So we've got things here, and once a year I do go through and take projects that have excess cash and put that into reserve, and that's what we use to, when you look at the summary of funds, you'll see I'm using a lot of beginning balances in debt service. That's where that money comes from, is going through and taking money from projects.
But if I'm reading this, there is at least 700 if you just took the Morningside Avenue, Pierce Street corridor, all that, just that deal with the question mark. Is that available or not?
Those would be available if you did not want to do the facades this year.
Okay, all right, forget that, that won't pass. But if you went, okay, so then the 116 on the ambulance.
That one would be available.
Okay. And 184, well, that's 300. And so you'd have 375. And if you took 200 out of the, or 2 1/4 out of the spec building, because you probably don't necessarily need that right away, that would give you another $500,000. And if I really want to do a big street project. I want to do a big street project. I want people to know we're serious about that. And I don't want you guys to take till next year to get it done. So if we give you the extra money, you get it ready to bid. Because I don't want to see the money sit here for a year and we say, well, we got a big project coming. Citizens are saying we aren't fixing it up.
Seeing it, yeah.
I have prepared a memo for that, in regards to that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I hope it says you can engineer it with that crack staff you got.
I did.
You did say that, or you did say, no, we can't?
No, we are going to do it.
Thank you.
It's already under design. We're looking at putting them out to bid.
Just toss it.
Oh,
Thank you.
Week. On the 11th, I think it is.
So if you had another $500,000, what could you do?
Well, I'm pushing the limit on this as it is.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
For the amount.
They all do.
Good.
I moved some of the stuff up from 18, on the fiscal year 18, the number 1 item, is got some of 18 that was left over and some of 19, fiscal year 19, I brought that in there. That project's, well, described as below. 20, we broke up into 2 different phases for the amount. I do want to note that the estimated cost for the first phase of 20 is not 1.1, it's more like 1.6. But what'll happen is the Douglas Street, 3rd Street to 6th Street will be an ad alternate depending on the cost. I'm looking to get these things out starting, well, up for adoption on the 11th of February.
So you would know what they're going to be by the time we finalize the budget.
That is correct.
So if that did run 1.6 and we took $500,000, we'd have the money without raising taxes.
Well, we'll have that, and the way I'm bidding it out is it'll be out in 3 different days. It'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday bid openings, so that contractors will be able to bid on it, and they are sized so that, well, I called Matt Barkley up, Barkley Asphalt, and to see if these were too big for him or not, and he said that they were pretty close to his top. But this covers a good chunk of, a little bit of, almost all of the city, central, north, and a little bit on the west, nothing on the east.
You took the projects from all of the fiscal years that are on this last page. You went through those and gave a priority.
Well, I didn't actually give them a priority, the maintenance did. They prioritized them and said, these need to go in first. So.
Most needed.
Right.
Well, 11th Street from Floyd to Jackson Street definitely needs to be done.
Yeah.
And that was already in the list.
Right, no, I know, but that's a great street to get done. It's a high volume, high visibility street and definitely high maintenance. I mean, you fix potholes there on a weekly basis in the summertime. They're popping out even.
Mayor, I think, and it's more than potholes, isn't it? I mean, we've got streets that are just crumbling.
Right.
Just generally.
But that one's crumbling, especially from Court Street over to about, Iowa or whatever. It's really going, whatever the next street is, Jones or whatever, in that 2 block, it's really bad.
Now keep in mind, these projects here, all of them will repair all of the ramps in their parameters. It'll also raise the water valves, raise manholes, repair inlets as needed.
But you're already designed and ready to go.
Yeah, already designed, yeah. I'm pushing them pretty hard, the 3 guys that are working on these 3 projects.
Good.
So I have to give them credit. They're working pretty hard on it.
I agree with the mayor on this. I mean, if we don't understand that this has really moved up to the #1 spot, or maybe tied with #1 with the projects, we're really not listening. And I'll clear a signal that we are listening. So this is good, Gordon. Thank you.
So could I have a motion to add $500,000 cash balances to 719-121?
I'll move that.
Second.
Where are you taking it from, Mayor? Where's the 5?
184 on acquisition from I-29.
Which one?
First page.
37905.
For what?
It's a 379 project.
379051. Have you got this list here, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just want to mark it. Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute.
And so what are you taking from there, or where's that?
379052, that was money we received
05.
back from I-29 for taking parking spaces at the Tyson.
Was that the same project you said we'd never get money back on? Or?
Which one?
This is the money we got from IDOT for the parking lot at Tyson, where they took out.
No, I got the money back for that.
Oh, you got that.
I took a lot of letter writing to find that out. I gave some generous estimates on them.
Don, it's not 051, it's 052?
052.
Yeah, not 5-1.
No, you told me about it, but
Scribble
took
out.
some prodding and letter writing to find it.
Well, that's good, because I said all along, if they pay me, why wouldn't they
How
pay
much
the
of
city?
that?
They were
Just
bad.
the 180, the 184.
I have 184,625.
Okay.
459054, 41,597.
What, say that again?
459054.
That is campground development.
Campground development,
Wait a minute.
And how much are you taking for the 40?
all of it.
All of it. Okay.
Green Valley Electric, they don't need that, 459056.
All right.
Okay, that's 260. And then you take 240,000 out of the spec building, still leaving 350, which will get that going, because if you do it like the last time, you shouldn't need a lot.
What number is that?
Oh, 663150 on page 54.
663.
3150.
And then that's just 250 of it.
I feel like they're drawing tickets for that.
250, is that what you said?
240 or 240, 250, yeah. Whatever it takes out of that to balance to get to the 500.
Yes.
Gordon and I were just talking, if the price is coming good, we'll probably move some crack sealing in, because we took all the crack sealing out of this year, so we'll probably move that up if the price is coming good.
That's a little more versatile. We can knock those out pretty quick.
Right.
the design of it anyway.
Well, hopefully if you bid that big project.
Well, it's gonna be 3 separate projects.
I know, but if you bid that, if they know there's that much work, they're gonna be, they know they can fill up on that and not worry about parking lots and that, because they can spend the whole, and the nice thing about this, the way you've got that divided is they can pull in, they can pull off for 2 weeks and go somewhere if they have to and come back to another
Yeah,
street.
it's gonna be set up as street by street, that you have this many days for this street, this many days for that street, so the days will start when they get on, when they start working.
So on your work plan, I lost it, all of this, there's still one area that, and I mentioned it before, on Jackson Street. I know you're gonna go from 11th to 14th, I can't remember where that's.
It's a few years out.
Yeah, a few years out. But south of that, going into downtown, 11th to 6th or something, is just awful. And it's just, and I don't see it anywhere, any plans of any kind.
We'll have to take a look at it. It was not in the plan.
Because that's a major road.
But I think it would be tough.
North-south.
With the routes he's got with 11th Street and Douglas, I think if we also did Jackson, you'd start to get some complaints probably. I mean, just doing them all at once.
That whole area.
Because you start cutting off people's routes around, you know.
Okay.
Can't detour the detour, you know.
Well, hopefully next year you can look at that next year, Pete, we can do the same thing.
Yeah.
In that, what were those parameters?
Jackson from
11th Street probably down to 5th even.
Yeah, 11th south.
5th to 11th.
But it's pretty rocky.
Especially that hill.
Yes.
And the stoplight.
We already have one on Jackson in 2021 on the work plan, so maybe we can just add that into it.
Two things before we end. Who's, on Jackson Street, who's got their private bags that they bag our meat?
No, those were bagged, those are our bags. They're bagged because we were missing parts. We can no longer get parts for our meters.
Okay,
Yeah, because we were talking about taking some down.
So we scavenged the ones
using,
from Warrior and that, and they should be getting, I'll check with.
That's fine, it just looked like somebody had gone up there and bagged them.
No, those were our guys that bagged them.
And,
Because they were gonna let, because our orange bags say no park. They didn't want to tell people they couldn't park there, they just wanted to bag them because they were operable.
and I know you won't be supportive of this, but I still would like a cost estimate of going from one way from Jackson Street over to Iowa.
Going east, okay.
Two-way.
Yep, we can look at that.
That takes all your downtown stoplights out. You can get rid of those. They aren't even needed, or at least the one up there.
Well, I know the one at Virginia's not needed. That was, I have to look at Court, because that will be, and that will take some looking. I mean.
Court going east, wasn't it?
No, you got, I said going to Court, but you'd have to go all the way to Iowa.
Yeah.
You'd have to go all the way.
But Court's got a signal on
Talking
it.
5th or 6th?
6th.
6th?
From Jackson to
That would take care of the
Iowa.
hospital needs.
Jackson to Iowa, is that what you said?
You wouldn't have to relocate all kinds of stoplights. It would not, then in fact, you'd get rid of one for sure.
Sure.
And
still not, yeah.
And then you wouldn't have to worry about the bus problem. Can they turn the buses in? I know you're gonna come up with.
Nope. Can you vote on the motion before you?
Oh, I thought we had.
No, we can't.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Waters?
Aye.
Capron?
Aye.
Gretkin?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Let's go, that'll be, I've got project 719018. That's on page 10. Is that where it would be moved up? I mean, right now it's out years.
Right.
So we move that up into like FY
Well, when we know the price.
21?
If we know the price.
We'll have to look into it. I can.
But the major expense of what you talked about on doing all of 6th Street is
signals
west of Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So there should not be a whole lot of money to do that.
And I'll figure out with and without replacing Court Street signals, because it'll take some time to figure out if
well, if you're going
quote
two-way, you're
on
probably
board.
gonna need a stoplight probably on Court Street, but. And I don't know that it's worth doing.
Because I have that estimate, Bob, broken out by each segment, so it won't take me long to figure that out.
Okay, what else, as long as we have everybody here?
We do need a motion just to approve all the technical changes, all the things we've
I'll
moved
move
around
that.
today.
Capron?
Aye.
Greckin,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
You want a motion to direct you to balance the CIP budget? Or
We will do that with the operating because we have things coming back.
Operating starts when?
Saturday morning, 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock Saturday morning?
8 o'clock Saturday morning. You dismissed a riveting PowerPoint.
Do we need to do anything
Yeah,
with
right.
this? Do we need, or we already did the motion to reconsider on the $1.5 million?
Yeah, we've talked about that already.
Got that on the agenda, okay.
Any council concerns?
Oh, get those asphalt jobs going. Move we adjourn.
Second.
Capron,
Aye. They're waiting downstairs.
Greckin,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Waters.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.